Kia ora, good evening. Police are not ruling out the possibility that missing boy Mike Zhao Beckenridge and his estranged stepfather have left the country. John Beckenridge is of Swedish descent and known to have at least 3 aliases. Police will not rule out that Beckenridge and his stepson could have left the country using passports which were unknown to New Zealand authorities. Police continue attempts to retrieve the vehicle identified as John Beckenridge's, which was found in rough waters below a cliff near Curio Bay, but there has been no police confirmation of anything inside the vehicle. Police said border alerts were issued shortly after the missing persons report on March 13th, and border security staff were given the names police were aware of at the time. Police said that they are working with any information available to them and were not aware of at least one of his other aliases at the time. Police have praised Kiwi motorists for a safe Easter weekend on the country's roads, with one of our lowest road tolls on record.
Provisional figures show just 1 fatality occurred over the Easter break, making this Easter the second lowest road toll on record, following the 0 deaths achieved in 2012. This follows last year's road toll of 5 fatalities and 3 in 2013. Police said while the 1 death recorded is a tragedy, it's heartening that no other families have been left grieving this Easter, and they thank the public for their efforts. Over the long weekend, police targeted high-risk driver behaviour, including drink and drug-impaired driving, speeding and failing to wear safety belts. They said the reduced 4 km/h speed threshold enforced over holiday periods had helped to bring down the road toll.
The New Zealand dollar reached a record high against the Australian dollar at the weekend, and exports look set to take a hit.
The Kiwi dollar reached 99.78 Australian cents at the weekend, and there were predictions it would reach parity with the Australian dollar yesterday. The Manufacturers and Exports Association said jobs would go if the Kiwi dollar remained high due to manufacturers cutting costs to remain competitive. They said Australian exporters had a bigger advantage against Kiwi exporters, and the high dollar would mean job losses across the sector. The pressure on exporters eased yesterday when the Reserve Bank of Australia kept its official cash rate on hold at 2.25%, but economists say they still expect the New Zealand dollar to achieve parity sooner rather than later.
A combined kakapo and tuatara attraction in Invercargill could open its doors as early as next year. Invercargill City Council decided last week that combining a kakaporium and a rebuilt tuatarium was the best option in line with the museum upgrade. And now it's up to Invercargill organisations to come together and decide on the best course of action.
The idea for a kakaporium came to Council a few months ago now, and senior council officers have been working with the Department of Conservation and to a limited degree also with the South Museum and Art Gallery to see whether the project's feasible. As a tourist attraction, it has very real merit. It's a unique point of difference. The kakapo is a bird that has global appeal. And it's a bird that's fighting its way back from extinction. So it's got a great story to tell, and it's really cute and adorable, which helps. Then it appears it's been morphed with maybe adding the tuatara to the kakaporium as well. And the Museum and Art Board, Museum and Art Gallery Trust Board has only really just found out a little about this. I think the business plan had the suggestion that people could pay to see the tuatara, and that's met with some real strong objection. Southlanders have been able to see the tuatara for free for years, and we think they would rightly actually have an issue with suddenly being asked to pay to see them. So the Museum Trust Board has to, I guess, approve of the idea, at the same time that Council needs their approval and has to go through its process. I do get the feeling personally that it's a little rushed and that we should take more time. I know there's pressure with the potential for a really good kakapo breeding season next year, but that shouldn't actually override, in my mind, a good business decision, and a little bit more time would be useful. I think there probably need to be some pretty clear talks between DOC, the South Museum and Art Gallery Trust Board, and Invercargill City Council to figure out how best to progress things. But City Council could forge ahead if it wants to. I think it would be more desirable for council to work in with its other partners rather than say, well, this is what we're doing. And ultimately, I think that's what they want to do. It's just the time frames that seem a little rushed.
How important are these attractions to the city?
Really important. I mean, you look at what's happening with the Bill Richardson Truck Museum as well, and the more things that you have for people to do when they're visiting, the more favourably you're seen as a visiting destination. Now, we can't compete with the likes of Queenstown or even Fiordland. We've been more of a gateway, or we're a destination for events. So having permanent features in place it does have real value for visitors, but also for locals as well. You know, if there's more for us to do, that's great, and it adds real value to what it means to be an Invercargill resident or a Southland resident at large.
Coming up after the break, get in while you can to find out what's on your back doorstep. Welcome back. Venture Southland is hoping the launch of a new Southern Deals website called On Your Doorstep will help tourism and hospitality sectors build their businesses during the traditional slower winter months. The website offers activity and accommodation deals for a limited amount of time that can then be used based on terms and conditions provided by operators.
It's been a free promotion for them. We want them to build their business, to get that churn going for their business.
As far as Southlanders travelling outside the region, there's been a lot of us that tend to go to Lakes District or even into Otago, Canterbury. How many of those from those areas come to Southland to visit? We see
them over the summer period, and they tend to be sort of the traditional places like Monkey Island, some of those camping sort of destinations. You know, there are day trippers, I suppose. We get the people down from Queenstown and Dunedin. Not as many as we would like. You know, there's certainly some big population and growing population. We are finding that there's sort of a rise in the sort of the escape sort of facet, where people are seeing the beauty in the coast without the huge number of people. And we know that Invercargill is doing really well in terms of events. So it's, you know, we've got a number of different target markets, and those local ones you talk about are easy wins. But we've got to keep on working on it because there's plenty of competition.
It sounds like those easy wins wouldn't necessarily be spending a lot of money per se when they're in the region if they're camping at dock sites.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges. One, getting them to spread the benefit, but I suppose anyone that visits here, you know, it's the right people, you know, it's treating the environment the right way. They're going to be buying their fuel, they're going to be buying food, and that trickles down. We've got some pretty cool projects being worked on by the different communities around Southland who are adding more value, so they stay a bit longer, that they want to come again, that hopefully products will be developed where they can spend money, because that's one of our challenges. Unlike Queenstown, where you've got 600 odd things to do within, you know, 600 metres. Here we don't have quite so much that you can pay for, which puts that benefit back in the community. But that's something that we're working to. But also in the nature that Southland wants, to be natural and authentic, and not too commercialised as such.
Can you give us any examples of what those things might be?
Well, there's some pretty exciting ones, obviously, down at Curio Bay, the Natural Heritage Centre that's going in there, and that's both for the protection of that environment, but also the celebration. For those that were over there in the summer, it's just packed out. But there's so many opportunities to improve it, to give a better experience, but also to make it a better experience for the locals that reside there. The cycle trail and the second stage of that is pretty exciting. I had an opportunity to do that, and it is one of the best quality trails. And this next stage, going down through the through the Mavora Lakes, is really, really iconic. Similar in that area, there's been some private, not just public ones, there's been private ones as well, such as the Welcome Rock trails with the mountain biking and the mud huts on the mountain tops, which are really amazing. Transport World and Bill Richardson's legacy, which is huge. It's really, really huge, because one of the challenges we have is sometimes the weather's a wee bit damp, so we need things to do outside of that time.
The 10-year passport may be coming back for Kiwi travellers, but it may come at a price. The New Zealand government will be reassessing the valid period for passports over the next few weeks, but the change could see a rise in passport fees. Kiwi passport's lifespan was reduced from 10 to 5 years in 2005 as a security measure, allowing passports to be changed frequently to keep up with security technology and prevent fraud. But to extend the lifespan of the passports, the Passport Act will need to be amended, which which the Prime Minister said may lead to higher fees for renewing passports. A nationwide petition gathered nearly 16,000 signatures last year for the country to return to 10-year passports, and travel agencies throughout the country have backed the decision, saying renewing passports every 5 years was frustrating for travellers. New Zealand's major trading partners, including the US, Britain, Canada and Australia, all have 10-year passports. Plans for the new Kiwi tavern are in the process of being finalised, and results from the building's geotechnical report won't delay the process.
Plans for a new Kiwi tavern to be built on the corner of Gimlet Street and North Road in Invercargill are just weeks away from being finalised, according to the Invercargill Licensing Trust. ILT board members received a Geotech report from its engineering consultant, which said there were potential problems identified in the building's original foundation structure. The report said there was a possibility liquefaction would cause issues in the event of an earthquake, and a different foundation system would be advisable. ILT General Manager Greg Mulvey said although the different foundation system would be more expensive, there would be no delay in the building process, and the report's results had only helped to prevent issues later down the track. The ILT said the new Kiwi tavern was part of its long-term plan to reinvigorate the establishments and attract new customers, as it had done with other premises in the city.
And now let's take a look at today's weather.
Nominations are open for the 2015 Southland Environment Awards. This year marks the 20th year of the awards, and Environment Southland wants to hear about anyone who's making a difference in our region: individuals, schools, farmers, community groups and businesses. If that's you or someone you know, get an entry form and let's recognise and celebrate these environmental achievers. Entries close May 1st. Contact Environment Southland for details today.
And here's the weather for today, Wednesday the 8th of April. Starting fairly warm up the north of the country with 24 degrees for Auckland, 19 for Wellington, 20 for Christchurch, 19 also for Dunedin, Queenstown on 16, Invercargill on 13, 14 for Gore today, and Stewart Island on the low of 11 at 3 o'clock today. Tomorrow we can expect cloud to increase, but winds remain light. Winton chasing 16 degrees tomorrow, and 15 for Riverton and Wyndham. Overnight lows of 9 for Tuatapere and Gore, and 16 the high for Invercargill and Gore tomorrow. And for Te Anau 16 degrees and 18 for Queenstown. In the marine forecast for Fovo, southwest 15 knots to variable 10 knots, southwest swell of 2 metres to northeast 1 metre, rough sea at times and fair visibility in showers. And for Pusiga, southerly 25 to southeast 25 knots, southwest 3 metre swell to northwest 2 metre swell, poor visibility in rain and rough seas at times. The long-range forecast for Friday, showers with cold southerlies freshening during the morning, clearing in the evening with winds dying away. Mainly fine for Saturday with northwesterly strengthening, and showery becoming colder again with hail and thunderstorms developing on Sunday. Lots to look forward to there, and that's it from us this Wednesday. Stay with us for Sport Up next from the news team. Good night.